So it's finally over. I can, I can stop crying now. Look, man, I'm kind of. It's what it is. Yeah, I'm happy, but at the same time, it's just like this. We've all been calling for this for so long that I'm not crazy happy. Um, at the end of the day, as long as ownership doesn't change, I find it hard to believe that big changes are coming. Um, damn, it took them for us to hit rock bottom. It took them for Brandon Staley and this team to embarrass the organization, its fans, the NFL, its staff, everyone completely before they made a change. I mean, my God. I hate that it had happened against the Raiders, but this is the loss, man. I don't know if I'll ever forget. Holy shit, that was bad. But it is what it is. It's finally done. Brandon Staley's finally gone. I think the only thing I'm thinking about now is just kind of, you know what, these next 3 games, I'm pretty sure we're going to lose. So I see us having a top 5 pick. I'm not opposed to trading that pick and going backwards because, there's been a lot of talk, and I've been listening to all the channels lately, and everyone's talking about how desirable of a job this is. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. To a certain degree, right? Yes, we have a quarterback. And I think, and one thing no one's talking about either is Herbert's value should have gone up because if you saw how bad this team was without him, I mean, it's crazy to think that he has been lifting this much of a heavy load every year with this team. I mean, without him, it was an absolute disaster. So that I feel like should have raised his value. Yes, so the QB position is good. The only issue is I'm looking through this roster. Yes, the salary cap is not great, but we do have some leeway. We will incur some dead cap space, but this isn't going to be a quick rebuild. I'm honestly, but I do think if we get a new coaching staff, and I want Harbaugh, that is my number one. I'm not a huge fan of getting. I know everyone's talking about Belichick. I don't really want to go the Belichick route. That's just me personally, especially if he's going to want the GM role. I don't want that. I think this team really needs to, because the GM is going to be extremely important going forward with the Chargers, because this whole team needs to be restructured. I think it needs to be built the right way. The salary cap has to be recalibrated. And I'm looking through the roster, there's a lot of things that I really have never liked about this roster. I've talked about this before. I don't like how top-heavy this team is. The problem is that people see the big names, but they don't see how they've actually performed. And now, some of that I do believe was because Brandon Staley did not get the best out of their players. I feel like Derwin James will be better under a new regime, but I have problems with other superstars. Khalil Mack is aging. I think his salary cap is just going to be too crazy next season. I think he's got to go. As much as I love him, you might be able to trade him. It won't be for much, but maybe you can get some draft capital for him. Keenan Allen, okay. I love Keenan, man. I would have loved for him to retire as a Charger. But I think with a new regime and us having to recalibrate this salary cap, I would even trade Keenan Allen. You might be able to get something for him, some draft capital for maybe not now or even in the future. Austin Johnson, I don't understand why we ever signed. He should be gone. And I'm looking through this roster, man. There's so many players that I wouldn't keep. Michael Davis, gone. We don't even have to talk about that. Derwin James, we have to keep because I think his new contract, I don't even know if it's kicked in yet. So for me, Derwin, he's still young enough. I think he would be a lot better under a new regime. So I'm okay with Derwin staying. That's fine. Austin Eckler, gone. You've just kind of proved why people should never pay running backs. And that's the sad part, man. You never pay running backs. You can always find younger players that can perform really well. Austin Eckler played amazing throughout his career as a Charger. I will always love you here as a Charger. But you've had a very down year. And honestly, you keep pointing every time you got a first down last night was pissing me off. You just kept embarrassing us. Sebastian Joseph Day, I don't know what anyone ever saw in him. I wasn't a fan of this signing. I don't know what you were getting out of it. Anyone looks good in being next to Aaron Donald, but he's been a waste. So he's gone. Everett, I like Everett. I don't think we used him correctly. I think he could have been better here. But I think with his contract ending and us starting over, I think he's going to be 29 or 30. You got to go. I think we just let you go. We might get some compensatory picks for some guys like this. Like Everett, we might get one for. Rashawn Slater is another piece that we can actually build around. Great. Kenneth Murray, I saw the potential in you. I just don't think you were in the right system. But I think now going into the fact that we didn't pick up your fifth-year option, and going into a new regime, I think you probably go. Kendricks, I think we might be able to get some draft compensation for him. Not much, but at least this way we're just kind of starting over. There's no point of keeping older players at this point or injury-prone players. Trey Pipkins, they did sign you. I think you would be too much dead cap money, but you just can't be the starter next season. That can't be the case. Zion Johnson hasn't played up to. I mean, this is just all such an indictment on Telesco. One other thing that people aren't talking about, just because no one wants to blame the Spanos kid, but if John continues being, in that office, it's never going to get better, man. So that's something that Dean, if you're going to prove to us that you're actually trying to make changes, that's going to be one big thing. Get your son the hell out of there. Or make sure whoever you're going to hire gets to make the decisions and not your son. Because this isn't looking good. Zion Johnson has not played up to his first round potential. QJ, it's too early to quit on you, but it's not looking good, man. It's really not looking good, especially with how some of these other wide receiver rookies have played this year. Morgan Fox, I'm okay with. Relatively cheap. We don't have to get rid of you. I'm not opposed to it. Asante, I think, again, he can be a lot better under a new regime. Cool with that. Hawkins, man, I don't know much about you. Gone. Palmer, I'm okay with. I think he can still be a good, valuable player. Maybe not a key piece to build around, but I think he's a good BC receiver. But I'm looking through this roster. Donald Parham, I don't care for much. Outside of being good in the red zone, I don't think he's good for much else. I think he's a third-string tight end. At the end of the day, that's what I would use him for, just the red zone. Anything else, I wouldn't put him out there. Kelly gone, JT Woods gone. Thule is a good piece to build around. I like Gilman. For the right price, I'm okay with Gilman. But Spiller gone, Clapp, Guyton, Hymus, Dayon Henley, he's still young, so we can see if anyone else can develop him. Darius Davis, I just like him punt returning and kick returning. Sawyer is okay. Man, it's crazy that you can look through this roster and you could legitimately only want to keep like 4 players. Joey Bosa, if you can get draft compensation, because I think his dead cap money next season is still pretty high, trade him. I'm okay taking the dead cap money if you can get draft compensation for him. So that for me is okay, as long as we get draft compensation for him. Mike Williams, gone. You just get hurt too much. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of having great superstar players that just can't stay healthy. Chris Rumpf, gone. Yeah, man, I'm looking over this roster, and it's just like, Jesus. There's like 8 players you would keep, if that. A lot of people, I think, look at this roster and they see the big names, but they don't see how they're actually performing. Again, a lot of that is systematic, is the regime. But I'm honestly tired of having players that just star players that get hurt all the time. I think we have to cut ties with Mike Williams, Keenan, pretty much everyone outside of Thule, Derwin James, Herbert. But there's not much. Or Slater. There's not much you're going to keep. This whole roster, this whole organization needs to be reshaped. Look, man, I'm glad Staley's finally gone. I hate that this organization had to wait until we hit absolute rock bottom to do anything about it. But it's where we're at. It's finally done. But here's the one concern that I had. My biggest, who I would really want to be a part of this organization next year is going to be Harbaugh. He would be my biggest hiring. But I'm looking at all the coaching vacancies. So there's going to be us, the Raiders, the Bears, the Panthers, and possibly the Pittsburgh Steelers. So 6 vacancy spots. Out of all of those spots, the place that I would put us at number 2. I think if Harbaugh has a choice between those 6, now I don't know if he'd ever want to go to Chicago. Would you come to the Chargers or Chicago? I know Chicago right now looks like a mess, but if you think about it, they have the first pick and they possibly have maybe third or fourth pick. So they could not only take a quarterback, they could take Harrison, and then they would still have DJ. So they would already have 2 stud wide receivers. They have Cole Kmet, and they would have their starting quarterback, all on the rookie contracts. They would have a lot of salary cap. They can still trade Justin Fields, and it would feel like a more refresh starting point. Versus the Chargers really only have the left tackle. You have Justin Herbert, but he's already going to be out of his rookie deal next season. So and you have a team that's going to have a lot of dead cap money with what it's going to need to do in order to start reshaping the salary cap again. So if I'm realistic, the only question mark that the Bears would have would be, what is their number one? What is their quarterback situation going to look like? I mean, is Drake May or Caleb Williams going to be that guy? That is the only question mark for the Bears going forward. Versus for us, yes, we have the quarterback, but he is already making a ton of money, and we have a lot of things we need to fix on this team. I mean, at least for me personally, like, I don't know how any of you all feel or if you guys are seeing the same thing I am seeing. But for me, if I'm a new coach and I'm coming in to reshape and put my mark on things, I think the Bears' job might be more attractive than us. I think the other teams, actually 7, because I didn't mention the Patriots, but the other teams I don't think are as attractive, so I don't think we have to worry about that. But if Jim Harbaugh has his pick, is he really going to pick us? Now, again, he has said he loves Justin Herbert. So that could be a huge benefit for us. Hopefully that would be enough to sway him to come to LA. But by all means, please, Spanos, if you are actually serious of making changes, if you are actually tired of this shit show, you need to just open up that checkbook, whatever Harbaugh needs, give it to him. Let him take 100% control of the entire organization at this point. The GM is going to be extremely important, man. We need to get a Howie Roseman type of GM to fix all the mess that Telesco and your son is leaving behind for the new regime. So please, I'm tired of losing seasons and rebuilding seasons. I'm tired of wasting quarterbacks' careers. I want to feel proud of my team. And I'm going to go into this offseason hopeful. I'm not against, I know a lot of people don't want a first-year head coach. I'm okay with it as long as we actually do our research this time. I don't want no more of the same bullshit. Anyways, man, I would love, like, I'm excited to keep hearing everyone else's opinions, because I know right now everything's crazy. It's all over, like, ESPN, and, you know, everyone talking about Brandon Staley gone, which honestly I'm so okay with, because it takes away from how embarrassing that game was last night. Anyways, that's my 2 cents, man. Hope you guys are having a better day. I know today is kind of a weird day, but at the end of the day, we're also Charger fans, and this is where we're at. But I'll see y'all soon, man. Let's see what this season has left to offer us. Peace.